الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور ثم الذين كفروا بربهم يعدلون. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق. نعم. So we are now on page 6. We said that page 6 of Surah Al-Baqarah was page 6 of the Quran, page 5 of Surah Al-Baqarah, but it's going to be page 6 of the Quran, and that it consists of 8 ayat from ayat 30 to ayat 37, starting with the story of Allah telling the angels that he's going to make a Khalifa. وإذ قال ربك للملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة قالوا أتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك ونقدس لك قال إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون. يخبر الله تعالى أنه سبحانه قال للملائكة إنه سيجعل في الأرض بشرا يخلف بعضهم بعضا. Allah Ta'ala informs that he said to the angels that he's going to make in the earth a human that will have progeny from one another. للقيام بإمارتها, in order for them to replenish the earth. Imara, it means to fill something up. Even in Morocco and other places like that, if you ask them if there are any vacancies in the hotel, say Ammar. Ammar meaning it's filled up. Ammar, it's filled up. So, so this right here shows this. When we look at modern issues, I like to try to point out modern issues to show that, number one, is something that has to be addressed. Number two, they show that the Quran does not have an expiration date. That the Quran was not valid for then and then is not valid for issues today. So here it is, the ulama explaining that from the reasons, from the purposes of man being created, al-khulf, that they will have offspring and progeny to come after them. And that the intention of them having offspring is in order to what? Occupy, to replenish the earth. So now this family planning and only having a few children and all this, where does that come from? This is an ideology that goes against what the Quran says. The Prophet ﷺ also said that. He said, "Tazawwaju al-wulud, al-wadud al-wulud." He said, marry the women who are loving and what?
Procreate.
What?
Procreate.
Yeah, but it's fertile. Yeah, exactly. Marry the women who are loving and fertile. فَإِنِّي مُكَثِّرٌ بِكُمْ الْأُمَمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. He said, because my ummah will be bigger than the other ummas, that my nation will be bigger than other nations through you. So the Prophet asked us, it's a favor, and not an obligation, but asks us as a favor. Marry those loving women who are fruitful, who are fertile, so that you can make many, many Muslims, so that our ummah can be the biggest ummah. So then where does this family planning come from? Bill Gates. Now, he wants to kill off the human population and claim that the world's overpopulated. Allah said in Surah At-Tawbah, كَالَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ كَانُوا أَشَدَّ مِنْكُمْ قُوَّةً وَأَكْثَرَ أَمْوَالًا وَأَوْلَادًا. Allah said, like those who came before you, they were more powerful than you, and they had more wealth and more children. So they had more children. Also, if we look at the battles of those times, it took a man to go to war. Why? Because you had to face your enemy and touch him in order to kill him. Not a coward shooting a bomb from 1,000 miles away, dropping a bomb from 30,000 feet up. Coward is scared he can't look his enemy in his eyes. And by that kill women, children, elderly, and everything, destroy schools, hospitals. He doesn't kill the enemy. We know that in Islam, when the Muslim ruler has this Muslim army and they go to fight, we're not allowed to kill women, not allowed to kill children, we're not allowed to kill people of religion, we're not allowed to tear down their homes, we're not allowed to tear down their synagogues, their churches. This is the rahmah, the mercy of Islam, even at battle. Even at battle. There is no ummah, there is no nation that is better for leading the world except the Muslims. But because we have become the followers of those that we should be leading, the whole world is now in turmoil, waiting for the Muslims to be back in position, and the Muslim rulers have to pay attention to this. This is their duty. It's not on every Khalid and Ahmed, right? It's not on every Khalid and Ahmed to do this. We do not encourage, nor do we support these brothers who have a mixed idea, and a lot of them in reality, I'm going to say it straightforward, are agent provocateurs. They're planted in different masajid in order to get the Muslim youth that are ignorant about deen. That's why I have to learn our deen, and they want to send them on these missions. They should claim that they're jihad missions, and you're going to get women in Jannah, you're going to get this, that, and the third, and they're all over the place. And it's a setup. It's a setup because when a Muslim does something that is against our aqidah and against our deen, our manhaj, what happens? They take that, they exaggerate it and blow it up and use it as a proof against the Muslims. A proof against the Muslims. And they even tried to start this in Tanzania before 2021 when President John Magufuli was a Christian president of Tanzania at the time. The president now was Muslim, John Magufuli. And they started to say, what, are you going to join the war on terrorism? He said, we don't have any issue between the Muslims and Christians in Tanzania. He said, no, so the Western government said you have to join the war on terrorism. He said, why? It doesn't affect me. I don't have an issue with terrorism in Tanzania. So what happened? A cell, so-called terrorist cell of 70 men was put together in a place called Tanga, right? And they began saying, we're Muslim, this president is a kafir, we have to overthrow him. So anyway, make a long story short, President John Magufuli got rid of them. In the way he saw fit. And then he said in Tanzania on national television, he said most of them were Christians who were paid to behave like Muslims. They were being paid in order to start strife between the Muslims and Christians here in Tanzania. No. So some Muslims are foolish and they fall into the traps of these individuals who want to make these false jihads and false fighting and blowing suicide bombing. We don't believe in that. We don't believe in that. Allah Ta'ala said, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِكُمْ رَحِيمًا. Allah said, do not kill yourselves because Allah has been merciful to you. No. So it's not permissible for a Muslim to kill himself. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever kills himself will be in the hellfire with the thing forever, with the thing that he killed himself with. Sahih Muslim. He said, whoever drank poison, he will be forever in the hellfire drinking that poison. Whoever threw himself from a mountaintop, a cliff, then he will be forever in the hellfire throwing himself off of a cliff, and so forth and so on. So suicide is haram, so suicide bombing is also haram. Nah, wallahu al-musta'an. So we're supposed to plenish the earth by populating it with human beings. And that's what really to be humane is. To be humane is to do everything that what leads to the increase and preservation of the human race. So that's being humane. To be inhumane is to do anything that causes the harm or the decrease of the human race. Allahu Musta'an. So what? The LGBT thing, whatever. We asked them, I believe the wrong question has been being asked. They keep asking them, define a woman. No. They use the terms L, which means lesbian, G, which means gay, B, bisexual, T, transsexual, and queer, Q, queer. So L, the first one is lesbian. So now we have to ask them. Don't ask them what's a woman. They said there is no gender. What's a lesbian? What's a lesbian? So what would they answer? How could they answer it without identifying gender? They say gay. What's a gay? How could they explain what a gay is without identifying gender? Because they're going to say a lesbian is a woman who, no, there's no such thing as women. You have to define for me a lesbian without the existence of women and men. You have to define for me what gay is without the existence of women and men, without the existence of gender. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. No. So we asked them, if this is correct, what you guys are doing, homosexuality, lesbianism, where would you be if your parents were what you are? Where would you come from? Your parents were lesbians. You didn't have a father. Two women were together. How could you be here today? If you had two two men together, how could you be here today? Where would the human race be? So this shows that this is the destructive ideology. If the whole of mankind follows this tradition, LGBT tradition, then what happens? The human race disappears. It's over with. It's over with. Now, so this is Allah told us to replenish the earth, to fill it up with human beings. And that only can happen through a man and a woman. Ya ayyuhan nas, O mankind, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha. O mankind, indeed we created you from a male and a female. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. And we made you into tribes and nations to get to know each other. إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. Indeed, the most honorable of you in the sight of Allah is the one who has the most taqwa. Male and female. SubhanAllah. And over in the Qur'an, الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها. He created you from one soul, the male. He created from that male his mate, a woman, a female, male and female, male and female. So the only way we can fulfill this reason that we were created to plenish the earth and to have progeny is for males to be with females and females to be with males. Anything else will cause to the destruction of mankind. Inqirad in mankind, called the extinction, will become extinct. Now, and this order to replenish the earth is not just simple. The ulama are saying, بِعِمَارَتِهَا عَلَى طَاعَةِ اللَّهِ, to replenish the earth with the obedience of Allah. In case a sayer says, well, you guys believe in going to war, and in going to war, you have to kill people. Yes, in defense of La ilaha illallah. To defend La ilaha illallah, yes. And if anyone studied Islamic history, they will know that the Muslims did not begin fighting ibtida'an. And we didn't begin attacking people. The Muslims, for their faith, were attacked. And they left there. They were attacked in Mecca when the Prophet ﷺ announced Islam. Ya ayyuhal muddathir, qum fa'anzir. After 3 years of silence and da'wah, Allah sent down the Surah Al-Muddathir in Mecca, said, "O you who are covered up, stand and deliver your message. Qum fa'anzir. Wa rabbaka fakabbir." And exalt your Lord. Wa thiyabaka fatahhir. And keep your iman pure. Your clothes outside and your heart. وَرُجِزَ فَهْجُرْ, and stay away from al-rujuz, al-asnam. Rujuz, fahjur, and make hijrah from al-rujuz, which is idols. Now, so we're supposed to plenish the earth upon the obedience of Allah. فَسَأَلَ الْمَلَائِكَ رَبَّهُمْ. Su'al istirshad wastifham. So the angels asked their Lord a question of guidance and seeking clarity. عن الحكمة من جعل بني آدم خلفاء في الأرض. About the wisdom about making the children of Adam those who would live and leave progeny on the earth. وهم سيفسدون فيها. While the fact remains that they will cause corruption. ويريقون الدماء, and shed blood, ظلما, out of oppression. So that's the difference. When a person sheds blood out of transgression, oppression, and the person sheds blood out of defense of the truth. So we believe in Self-defense, definitely. Allah Ta'ala, first ayah sent down in Medina about fighting is the ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, where Allah Ta'ala said, وقاتلوا في سبيل الله الذين يقاتلونكم ولا تعتدوا إن الله لا يحب المعتدين. Allah said, and fight in the way of Allah those who fight against you, and do not transgress. Indeed, Allah Ta'ala does not love the transgressors. So now, and they will be shed blood, ظلما, out of oppression. قائلين ونحن أهل طاعتك. And I said, well, and we obey you. We're the people of your obedience. وننزهك حامدين لك ومعظمين جلالك جلالك وكمالك. And we are the ones who declare that you are pure from any imperfections. And we praise, we glorify your praises, and we exalt your majesty and your perfection. لا نفتر عن ذلك, and we do not cease from doing that. فأجابهم الله عن سؤالهم. So Allah Ta'ala answered their question. إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون من الحكم الباهرة في خلقهم. That I know what you do not know from the amazing wisdoms in the reason behind creating them. والمقاصد العظيمة من استخلافهم. And the lofty intentions behind causing them to produce progeny and remain over and over again. Now, وعلم آدم الأسماء كلها ثم عرضهم على الملائكة فقال أنبئوني بأسماء هؤلاء إن كنتم صادقين. نعم. Now, okay. ولبيان منزلة آدم صلى الله عليه وسلم علمه الله تعالى أسماء الأشياء كلها من الحيوان والجماد وألفاظها ومعانيها, ثم عرض تلك المسميات على الملائكة قائلا أخبروني. نعم, subhanallah. And this is very important for us to understand. This great favor that Allah Ta'ala bestowed upon our father Adam. He said, so in order to make clear to the angels the station and status of Adam, may peace and prayers be upon him, Allah Ta'ala taught him the names of everything from animals, in inanimate objects, in the words, in their meanings. And then those things that were named, he presented them to the angels and said to them, أنبئوني يعني أخبروني, inform me بأسمائها, tell me about the names of these things, إن كنتم صادقين, if you are truthful, فما تقولون, and that which you say, أنكم أقرب من هذا المخلوق وأفضل منه, if you're saying that you are, because of your worship of Allah and not disobeying Allah, so if you are better than this creation and more honorable than him, inform me of the names of these things if you are true in your claim of being better than this creation that I created. قالوا معترفين بنقصهم نعم مرجعين الفضل إلى الله. Now, and so they said, acknowledging their deficiency and returning all honor and virtue to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, we declare all perfection to you, and we exalt you, Ya Rabbana, O our Lord, عن الاعتراض عليك في حكمك وشرعك, that we do not contradict or oppose your ruling or your legislation. فنحن نعلم لا نعلم شيئا إلا ما رزقتنا علمه. So we don't know anything except that which you have provided for us to have knowledge of. إنك أنت العليم. Indeed, you are العليم الذي لا يَخْفَى عَلَيْكَ شَيْءٌ. The one that nothing is hidden from you. Al-Hakim, the most wise. الذي طبع الأمور في مواضعها بقدرك وشرعك. And you're the one, the Al-Hakim, the one that places all of the affairs in their proper places based on your ability in your legislation, or your decree in your legislation. Now, subhanallah. So this is very important to know, ya ikhwa, that Allah Ta'ala raised man, even with the angels never disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The obedience of man to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is greater than the obedience of the angels to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why?
Let's say because hadith where I believe the hadith where Allah says, if man all of the creation were to worship me, with wipe them out and bring those who committed sins, because so that they repent.
No, that's a separate issue. Good point, but a separate issue. Why is
can I say that?
Nah.
Assalamu alaikum. I think because of the choice, we have a choice to to obedience and obedience, and we choose to obey him. The angels have no choice.
Allahu Akbar. That's the reason. The acts of obedience of humans is greater than the acts of obedience to angels. Allah said about the angels what? In Surah Al-Tahrim. لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. They do not disobey Allah in what He commands them, but they do exactly what they are commanded. As for mankind, He's been given a choice. So when someone does an act of goodness because they choose to do so, because this is why when we're calling someone to Islam and they're ready to come into Islam, before they take Shahada, we ask them, are you being forced? Are you doing this of your own will? Are you being offered something? You're being paid to do this? You're scared of somebody? Why are you becoming a Muslim? To make sure they follow the ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah Ta'ala said what? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu udkhulu fi silmi kafa. Oh, you who believe, enter to Islam completely. Kafa means completely. Not partially, not 90%, not 99.99.9%. No, 100% enter into Islam of your own accord, and choice. So the choice makes our acts of worship greater than the acts of worship of the angels. They're from the beings that did not accept to have free will. Nah. Nah. So where are we? قال يا آدم أنبئهم بأسمائهم فلما أنبأهم بأسمائهم قال ألم أقل لكم إني أعلم غيب السماوات والأرض وأعلم ما تبدون وما كنتم تكتمون. Right? So after that, Allah said, oh Adam, tell them the names of those things. So after He told them the names of those things, Allah Ta'ala said to the angels, did I not inform you that I know the most knowing, and I know the unseen of the heavens and the earth, and I know everything you conceal and everything that you reveal? You heard Imam mention here. وَعِنْدَئِذْ قَالَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى لِآدَمَ. So at that point, Allah Ta'ala said to Adam, أَخْبِرْهُمْ بِأَسْمَاءِ تِلْكَ الْمُسَمَّيَّاتِ. Inform them of the names of these things. So it shows that our father Adam alayhi salam, everything that we're naming and inventing and producing and all of that, the languages that we speak, all of that was what is genetic. It was given to our father, so it's genetic. It's genetic. So we do not originate anything. It's genetic. Allah put this, taught it to our father. So then when His children are born from every generation, part of that which Allah Ta'ala taught him comes out through inventions and things like that. So when we say, how what made him think of that? Of course, it's impressive, but at the same time, when we refer back to these ayahs, we say, oh, that's what made him think of it, because Allah told Adam the names of everything that was going to need to be used. Nah. Now, he said to Adam, أخبرهم بأسماء تلك المسميات. فلما أخبرهم وما علمه ربه قال الله للملائكة ألم أقل لكم. So when he informed them of the names of those things as his Lord taught him, Allah said to the angels, did I not inform you? Did I not tell you? Did I not say to you, إني أعلم ما خفي في السماوات وفي الأرض? Did I not tell you that I'm the most knowing of that which is hidden in the heavens and on earth? وأعلم ما تظهرون من أحوالكم وما وما تحدثون به أنفسكم. Did I not tell you that I'm the one that knows what you reveal from your situation? وما تحدثون به أنفسكم, and that which you basically what's going on inside of you. I mean, it's which you speak about to yourself. حدث يحدث means to speak. What you speak about to yourselves, meaning within yourself. Nah. So Allah Ta'ala knows what we conceal and what we reveal. After that, we come to the next ayah. وإذ قلنا للملائكة اسجدوا لآدم فسجدوا إلا إبليس أبى واستكبر وكان من الكافرين. So Allah Ta'ala says next. يبين الله تعالى أنه أمر الملائكة بالسجود لآدم سجود تقدير والاحترام. Allah Ta'ala makes clear that he ordered the angels to make sujood to Adam, the sujood of taqdeer wal ihtiram, of respect and honor. Let's say respect and honor. فَسَجَدُوا مُسَارِعِينَ لِامْتِثَالِ أَوَامِرِ اللَّهِ. So they've all prostrated quickly in order to fulfill the command of Allah. لا ما كان من إبليس الذي كان من الجن, as Allah mentioned in Surah Al-Kahf, except for Iblis, as Allah Ta'ala mentioned. He was the one who did not, except for what happened from Iblis, he was from the jinn. فَامْتَنَعَ اعْتِرَاضٍ عَلَى أَمْرِ اللَّهِ. So this comes in Surah Al-Baqarah. Then it comes, it's going to come again in Surah Al-A'raf. Then it's going to come again in Surah Al-Hijr. Then it's going to come again Al-Baqarah, A'raf, Al-Hijr, Kahf, Zumar. I'm skipping something. I'm missing something. But it comes maybe 7 times. 7 times. I'm missing something. It comes maybe 7 times, the story of the sujood of Adam to Iblis, and Allah Ta'ala tells us this different perspective of it. And this one, Abba was istakbaru kana min al-kafirin. And A'raf is more detailed. So he refused. Allah said, what made you refuse to be from those who make prostration? He said, I'm better than him, right? And Surah Al-Hijr, his shaitan goes further to say, I'm not going to prostrate to somebody that you made from clay, right? And then in Surah Al-Kahf, Allah Ta'ala said, فَفَسَقَ عَنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّهِ. And he said, in Surah Al-Isra, now let's skip that one too. In Isra, he said, Allah described him saying in Surah Al-Isra, do you see this is the one that you honored over me? More detail, more detail. So it's nothing, there's no such thing as redundance in the Quran. Redundance, like meaning something that's repeated for no benefit. Like you already said that already. Now we do that, but the Quran never does. The Prophet ﷺ never does it. So when you see something that's been repeated in the Qur'an, repeated in Hadith, is because there's a more emphasis and more of a point and more detailing like that. And even if it's the exact same wording, it shows that this is something important for us to ponder over. Why did Allah say that again? No, He said it again. Allah Ta'ala said, Kitab mutashabihan mathani. He said, a book in which the verses resemble one another and repeat itself. And it repeats itself. SubhanAllah. No. Alaykum as-salam.
Is this the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constantly talks about Jannah, and by mentioning dwelling in gardens where rivers flow, and then He mentions Jahannam as well, right after that or before that?
These are from the ayahs that should be pondered, because it tells us the reality of our existence. Our existence is that what? We're our end is either going to be a reward or a punishment. That's the whole thing. Either we're going to end up being in bliss and rewarded, or we're going to end up being in torment and be punished. Yeah. No. So that's the end goal. That's the end goal. Yeah. So he refused, opposing, having opposition, i'tiradin ala amrillah. And we talked about this before. This type of kufr is called radd al-amr ala al-amir, to reject the command and throw it back in the face of the commander, right? And this is kufr akbar. This is major kufr. Major kufr. Yeah, it takes the person out of the fold of Islam. So if there comes a command in the Qur'an that is an obligation, and a Muslim says, doing that, somebody says, I'm just doing that, that takes them out of the fold of Islam. And this is why Abu Bakr fought against those who refused to pay the zakat. He said, well, we ain't paying that. That was for the Prophet. So paying that. They ain't use zakat. That was for the Prophet. And so because of that, he pronounced takfir. He said they were kuffar. And this is why the issue of takfir is, and this is maybe another class specifically about this issue, we can discuss it. It's two extremes to takfir. You have the first extreme is that a person try to take every little sin and mistake and say a Muslim is not a Muslim anymore, right? Like the Khawarij, like the Mu'tazila, they did this. Then you have the other extreme in which people try to make as if takfir doesn't exist, as if as long as you became a Muslim, said La ilaha illallah, there's nothing can take you out of the fold of Islam, like the Murji'ah did. No. Islam, that shahada it's like a door. So every door, you can enter it and you can exit, except well, on one side we say Alhamdulillah, and the other side we say A'udhu Billah, except for the doors of Jannah and the doors of the hellfire. And even for the believers, the sinful believers, the doors of the hellfire can be entered and then exit, and then never entered again. And then never entered again. Nah. Okay, so we'll take this last ayah. So he did it i'tirad, that he refused, he rejected Allah's command. Now, lahu bis-sujud وَتَكَبُّرًا, and arrogance upon Adam. And there's no way, and our youth need to understand this, and on a human level. But our ulama is saying that he refused the sujood, he refused the command of Allah, and he refused the sujood out of arrogance toward Adam. As a matter of fact, we as spouses, husbands and wives, we need to fear Allah when it comes to this. What happens when it comes to this? Allah Ta'ala has given us commands in our social dealings, and He has set up a chain of command in our households. The Prophet ﷺ said what? كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. All of you are a shepherd, and all of you are responsible for his sheep. Now think of the shepherd and think of the sheep. There's no doubt, nobody would ever confuse and argue who's in charge, the shepherd or the sheep. Is there equality between the shepherd and the sheep? Like, it's not an argument. So now, as the Prophet described, he said, was Sultan Ra'in who mas'ul and qawmi. So the leader is a shepherd. He's responsible for the people under his leadership. ورجل راع وهو مسؤول عن زوجته وأهل بيته أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. And the husband, he's the shepherd and he's responsible. So now, if we believe in the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and that he received revelation from Allah, وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى, he doesn't speak of his desires, he described the husband as what? Being a shepherd. So now, believing in what the Prophet said, we look at his wife and his children, or wives and children, as the sheep. As the sheep. Meaning that they need to stay under him to be protected. Right? He said what? Imra'ah. Ra'iyah. He said, no, what? The woman is also a shepherd. She's responsible for her husband's house and his children. It's the chain of command. Right? Then he said, and the son is also a shepherd, and like that, and he said even the slave is a shepherd responsible for his master's property. فَكُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. So all of you are shepherd, and all of you are responsible for his flock. Responsible for his flock. So the dangerous part now, what happened to Shaitan? We talked about this before. Out of his obstinance toward Adam, alayhi salam, he disobeyed Allah. And the fact that he intended Adam did not save him from becoming a kafir. It didn't stop it from being disobedience to Allah. Okay, let's bring it down to our level now. Here it is. Let's start from the bottom. Children, under their parents' rule. You have to obey your parents, respect your parents. Dad says, go tell your brother, I said wash the car or take out the trash or like that. The brother now, because he doesn't want to take orders from his brother, he wants to refuse the message that the father sent through the brother out of obstinance to the brother. Then when the father comes down on him, he wants to try to play that, no, I wasn't disobeying you. I wasn't listening to him. No, he told you what I told you. So then when you said no to him, you said no to me. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Move up a level. Likewise, Allah Ta'ala has given a man a station in his house, his authority. He has a wife. The wife may not be feeling well about the husband. She may be upset about the husband. They may have discord. Discord is normal. It happens. But now, out of her anger toward her husband, after Allah has told her how to be obedient, فَالْقَانِتَاتٌ حَافِظَاتٌ لِلْغَيْبِ فَالصَّالِحَاتُ قَانِتَاتٌ حَافِظَاتٌ. Allah said, so the righteous women are qanitat, are what? Devoutly obedient to Allah and their husbands. Hafizat, and they guard and hide the secrets of the home, that which Allah will have them guard. Bima hafiz Allah. Right? So now, if the husband gives an order in that which is halal, number one, if the husband gives a wife an order in that which is obligatory, which is highly recommended, or that which is just simply permissible, it becomes an obligation for her. Because the obedience to the husband is obligatory. And this is what Allah has put the man in position. So when she, because she has an attitude with him this day, goes against his command, and she thinks, well, she's attacking the person. No. His obedience is from the obedience of Allah. So when she disobeys him, she has disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why from the hadith and the sunnah that the Prophet ﷺ said a woman will never give her Lord his rights until she has given her husband his rights. He didn't say it vice versa. He didn't say the woman will never give her husband his rights until she give her Lord his rights. She said, the Prophet ﷺ said, she will never give her Lord his rights until she has given her husband his rights. Very serious. Very serious. And we're not saying that when a woman disobeys her husband that she leaves the fold of Islam. That's not what the point. Or the children, when they disobey, leave the fold of Islam. The point is that when people think that they're disobeying the individual in something that Allah has commanded, in reality, they're disobeying Allah. So you have to remove the personal feelings toward the individual out the way and say, well, if this is what Allah said, I'm doing it. Even if I don't like the person that's telling me to do it. Still what Allah said. So I'm going to ignore that person and do what Allah Ta'ala said. Now, that's the point. Inshallah, it's clear. نعم فسجلوا مصارعين لامتثال أوامر أمر الله. So they rushed to do it in order to fulfill the command of Allah Ta'ala. And let's, inshallah Ta'ala, ask Allah Ta'ala to make us from those who race to fulfill his commands. And we'll stop at this ayah, inshallah Ta'ala. And Thursday, we'll begin at the next ayah, in which Allah Ta'ala said, Ya Adam uskun anta wa zawjuka al-jannah. Oh Adam, live you and your wife in the Jannah. Ameen, ameen, ameen. If there are any statements or questions about anything that's been said, we'll take them now. If not, we'll stop here, inshallah. Inshallah ta'ala. No. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's not permissible in war. You can't kill women. You can't kill children. You can't kill the elderly. You cannot kill the religious people, and you cannot destroy their places of worship. What if an older person tried to harm you? Then that person, any combatant, is killed, even if they're old. Even if they're old, because their excuse has been removed by their attack. Their excuse is that they're weak, they're not, they're harmless. They're weak and harmless, leave them alone. If they now enable themselves and become a harm, then they fall in line with everybody else. Nah. Child too. Child comes out, AK, she's been taught how to use it, which is being done, right? So he comes on the battlefield and says, oh, he's a child. This gets shot up now. He has to go. He has put himself in the ranks of the what? Of the men. The woman. Same thing. Anybody who has enabled himself and become a danger, then he's treated as a danger. Man, woman, or child. The reason that they have been exempt, because they were not a danger. Once they become dangerous and decide to remove themselves from the position of being harmless to the position of presenting a danger, then they take the same ruling. And this is why a very important principle in Qur'an al-Fiqhiyya, al-ahkam tadur ma'a ilaliha wujudan wa adaman. That all of the rulings are attached to their reasons, being present or absent. So if the reason for the ruling is present, then the ruling is established. And if the reason for the ruling is not present, then the ruling is not established. So the reason for the ruling of the men, women, and children of those religious people is because they are non-combatant. They don't fight. They don't try to kill you. So leave them alone. But now, if they become combatants, they are no longer that ruling. They are now soldiers. So now they're treated like soldiers. They're treated like soldiers. No. Okay. I think we have a question here. Woman has, salam, 1 minute, Jihad, let me answer this question. So, Aklima, so the woman being good to her husband, it's not, of course, it's blessings involved, getting the blessing. It's an obligation. The reason I'm avoiding this wording of to get blessings, so it won't be thought of as a highly recommended act. No, it's an obligation. I mean, if she's not dutiful to her husband, she's a sinner. So now, what about if the husband is guilty of bad treatment, oppression to his wife? A woman has two choices. She can remain with an oppressive husband and be patient, and she'll get the reward of that. And she has to understand that if she chooses that she is still obligated to be an upright, obedient wife. If she doesn't want to be under the rule of an oppressive husband, then she can get a khula. She can get a khula, which is an annulment of the marriage. Allah Ta'ala said in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَلَا يَحِلُّ لَكُمْ أن تأخذوا مما آتيتموهن إلا أن يخافا أن يقيم حدود الله. It is not شيئا إلا عفوا أن تأخذ منهن شيئا إلا أن يخافا أن يقيم حدود الله. It is not permissible for you to take from anything that you've given a woman, meaning the dowry. إِلَّا أَن يَخَافَا أَن يُقِيمَ حُدُودَ اللَّهِ, except if they fear that they would not be able to what? Remain in the limits set by Allah. فإن خفتم ألا يقيما حدود الله فلا جناح عليهما فيما افتدت به. And if you fear that they will not be able to be married while remaining in the limits set by Allah, al-hudud means the limits, borders. If they cannot maintain the borders that Allah set for a husband and the borders that Allah set for a wife as a couple, فلا جناح عليهما فيما افتدت به. Then there's no sin upon them. Al-iftida means to ransom. It's a ransom. So it's no sin upon them that she ransoms herself off, meaning she gives money to the husband to release her from the marriage bond. Iftida. And the scholars, we can go through this in the fifth class, but just to quickly mention it, they differ. Is the khul'a, the woman removing herself? Because the word khul'a comes from khala'a yakhla'u. It means to remove something completely. To remove something completely. So there's no sin upon them if she removes him by giving him a ransom. I'll give you this money, let me go. Let me go. Allah said, وَتِلْكَ حُدُودُ اللَّهِ فَلَا تَعْتَدُوهَا. Allah said, and these are the limits set by Allah, so do not transgress them. وَمَنْ يَتَعَدَّ حُدُودَ اللَّهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. And whoever transgresses the limits set by Allah, these are the transgressors. These are the oppressors. Right? So the woman gives a dowry, all of the dowry back, part of the dowry back. If he wants something extra, she pays that. And she pays that, and when she pays that, she's released. She's released from the marriage contract. If he's oppressive, because the Prophet ﷺ said, any woman that asks for the khula, fi ghayri ma ba's, and that which is not harming her, then la tajid rih al-jannah, she will never smell the fragrance of Jannah. The woman who asks for annulment of her marriage, for other than being oppressed, she will not smell the fragrance of Jannah, which shows that this is a major sin. Major sin. So the khula, the woman gets the annulment of the marriage if she's being oppressed, so that's her choice. But she cannot decide to stay and use his oppression as a reason for her disobedience. No. If she decides to stay, she has to stay as a wife according to what Allah legislated a wife is supposed to be. If not, if she cannot remain under that, Allah gave us the way out. If they cannot keep the limits set by Allah, then there's no sin on them if she pays the ransom and she gets out of the marriage, and that's how that's done. Nah. 1 minute, the brother Jihad. Jihad, go ahead.
No, actually, it was kind of off topic. You thought Abdul Jabbar was in the class the other day. It was actually the other Abdul Jabbar.
Oh, yeah. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Give both of us, both of them my salam, inshallah.
And I didn't have your number when you said the number, because I don't think I have that number.
It's the same one that's in the WhatsApp group. 667-770-9195.
Okay, now exactly what time.
Anyway, nah. Sefer.
What if the man don't want it?
Okay, this is a good question. The brother Mukhtasar said, what if the woman doesn't want to give, the man doesn't want to give the woman the khula? He wants to keep her, right? Another ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah Ta'ala said, وَإِذَا طَلَّقْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ فَبَلَغْنَ أَجَلَهُنَّ فَأَمْسِكُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ أَوْ سَرِّحُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَلَا تُمْسِكُوهُنَّ ضِرَارًا لِتَعْتَدُوا وَمَنْ يَفْعَلْ ذَلِكَ فَقَدْ ظَلَمَ نَفْسَهُ وَلَا تَتَّخِذُوا آيَاتِ اللَّهِ هُزُوًا. SubhanAllah. Allah said, and if you divorce the women and they reach the end of their waiting period, then release them according to that which is good, or keep them according to that which is good. And do not keep them as your wives in order to harm them and transgress against them. So now, if a woman has a valid reason for wanting the khula, to wanting the annulment, and the husband refuses, she's to raise her issue up to the Islamic authorities wherever she is. She's in a Muslim country, she raises up to the Islamic courts. She's in a non-Muslim country, she raises her issue to the closest Islamic center that she refers her affairs to. She goes to the Islamic center. My husband is beating me. My husband is an adulterer. My husband is a drug dealer. Whatever the issue is, and I'm mentioning these reasons because these are valid reasons. He's physically abusing me. He's a drug dealer. He's an adulterer. A woman can seek an annulment of her marriage because of that, and she goes to the Islamic Center. And at that point, the Islamic Center, their job is not, if these arguments are proved to be true against the husband, their job is not what many Islamic centers do and many imams fall into. Sister, be patient. And this is no. Your job is that she has a valid reason to be out of the marriage. So you simply ask our sister, what was the dowry given to you, such and such? Do you have that? This is what the Prophet ﷺ did. Right? When she came and said, Ya Rasulullah, she said, I don't find anything wrong with his character and religion. I just don't like him. I can't live with him. And I fear kufr after Islam. I don't want to be ungrateful after being guided to Islam, but I can't be with this man. I don't want to be with this man. I don't like him. The Prophet ﷺ said, Aturdini alayhi hadiqatay or hadiqata. Are you willing to give back the garden he gave you as a gift? He said, yeah. He said, take your garden. He told David, take your garden and divorce her. The Prophet didn't say, what do you mean? He's a good guy. You said there's nothing wrong with your relationship. You know, we sometimes we get too westernized, romantic, and matchmakers and stuff like that. The woman is coming. This could be a fitna. This is one of the hidden reasons for, and it's not an excuse. And I want to make sure for anybody that hears this, it's not an excuse. However, in reality, this is from the hidden reasons sometimes that people fall into adultery, women fall into adultery. Because they're forced to stay with somebody they don't like. They're told to be patient, and maybe this woman had made some sins in secret of having contact with another man and like that. So now she has some infatuation going on about this man. So we don't know the secret behind her. All of a sudden, saying she doesn't like her husband. But now we have a problem. So our aim is the best solution. She doesn't want to be with him. Maybe she's just going through the motions. But our best situation, because a woman can only have one husband, is to let her go. Let her leave. If she decides she want to come back later, that's up to him. But let her leave and don't try to play Chuck Woolery. You know, we don't try to play love connection. Listen, she wants to go. She has a valid reason. She hates him. He beats her. He committed adultery. His money is haram. Whatever her reason is, she brings it. What did the Prophet ﷺ do? Are you willing to give him back his garden? Yeah. Take your garden back and divorce her. End of it. End of it.
What if it's the woman trying to leave and the woman don't want to?
So see, this is the easiest part. The man that's hold on.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Hassan.
1 minute, Sheikh. 1 minute, the battery's about to die. 1 minute. The battery's about to die. The man, leaving is, you know, that's the easiest part. Allah Ta'ala said, وَإِنْ أَرَدْتُمُ اسْتِبْدَالَ زَوْجٍ مَكَانَ زَوْجٍ وَآتَيْتُمْ إِحْدَاهُنَّ قِنْطَارًا. Allah said, if you wanted to exchange one wife for another wife and you gave the first one a treasure, فَلَا تَأْخُذُوا مِنْهُ شَيْئًا. Then don't take the least part. Don't take the least part of it back. تَأْخُذُونَهُ بُهْتَانًا وَإِثْمًا مُبِينًا. Will you take the dowry back? The falsehood, because when in two situations, the man can get the dowry back. Khula, the woman gets the annulment, or the woman is accused of lewdness. So that's why Allah said, you want to take the dowry back? You're going to take it as it's like a false accusation. What did she do wrong? If she didn't do anything wrong, you want to divorce her? How are you going to take the dowry back from her? Because in taking the dowry back means she doesn't deserve it. What did she do? When she when she gave you herself, she deserves to get the dowry. She deserved to get the dowry. So now you want to divorce her because this used to happen back then. The men used to do what? They wanted to divorce a woman and they wanted to get another woman. So what they would do? Whoa, I don't want to spend this money twice. So let me, so let me irritate her until she what? She leaves. And then when she asks for the divorce, and it still happens today. Wallahu al-musta'an. Wallahu al-musta'an. So I'm going to bother her until she leaves, and that way I'll get the dowry back, and then I'll use the dowry to marry somebody else. Wallahu al-musta'an. This happened so many times to the point that it's mentioned about 4 times in the Qur'an, telling the men not to do this. The ayah that we just quoted about the khula, it's not permissible for you to take anything. إِلَّا أَن يَخَافَ أَن يُقِيمَ حُدُودَ اللَّهِ. You can't take from anything that you have given the women as a dowry unless you fear that they will not be able to maintain the limits set by Allah. That's the first time in Surah Al-Baqarah. And then in Surah Al-Nisa, the ayah, وَإِنْ أَرَدْتُمْ اسْتِبْدَالَ زَوْجٍ مَكَانَ زَوْجٍ, you wanted to exchange one wife, وَآتَيْتُمْ إِحْدَاهُنَّ قِنْطَارًا, and if you gave the woman a whole treasure as a dowry. فَلَا تَأْخُذُوا مِنْهُ شَيْئًا. Don't take anything, don't take anything from it. أَتَأْخُذُونَهُ بُهْتَانًا وَإِثْمًا مُبِينًا. Are you going to take it as a false accusation against her in a clear sin? Then Allah asks that rhetorical question. وَكَيْفَ تَأْخُذُونَهُ وَقَدْ أَفْضَى بَعْضُكُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ. And how can you take it after you've been intimate with one another? Can you take it? You've been intimate with this woman. SubhanAllah. وَأَخَذْنَا مِنْكُمْ مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا. Allah said about the marriage contract, and they took from you a weighty agreement. Mithaq ghalidh. Ghalidh is something heavy, something serious. And they took from you a heavy agreement. Mithaq. A mithaq is a contract. So he called the marriage contract mithaqan ghalidha. Now, a heavy, serious agreement. Now.
Yeah, Hassan, I have a question. Hello?
Naam, tafaddal.
Yeah. So, with regards to the khula, you mentioned the hadith that if a woman seeks to separate without being oppressed by her husband, she would not smell the fragrance of Jannah. But that goes against another saying when the Quran said that if the woman doesn't like her husband and wants to take a khula.
Okay.
If the woman just doesn't like her husband and wants to take a khula, is she allowed to take or not? Because you said before the hadith that she will not she will not smell the fragrance of Jannah if she is asking for khula if she's not been oppressed. But there's no question of oppression here. Just she doesn't like him,
No. No, this also is a form of oppression. Let's say, for instance, Allah Ta'ala said in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَلَهُنَّ مِثْلُ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَلِلرِّجَالِ عَلَيْهِنَّ دَرَجَةٌ وَاللَّهُ عَزِيزٌ حَكِيمٌ. Allah Ta'ala said, and for the women are similar rights toward commensurate to the obligations that are upon them. And the men have a degree over them, and Allah Ta'ala is what? Aziz, mighty, Hakim, wise. So just like a man, if he marries a woman and then he decides, her personality is not good, I didn't think she was like that, she's silly or she's too serious or like that, he can leave her for that. Likewise, a woman could marry a man believing his personality to be one thing, and then she gets in his home and she's, wow, this guy's always serious, he doesn't, it's like I don't enjoy life with him. So this also, she has a right to be what? Happy in her marriage, especially for the woman, because what? She has one choice. So now if she is in a marriage in which, let's say the man has some bad habits that gross her out, disgust her. Let's say the man has hygiene issues. Let's say the man has hygiene issues like that. Or let's say the man has effeminate characteristics, and she wants a man that's manly, has but he has some effeminate ways about him like that. The woman at this point, because of that reason, or not like, she can get a divorce, even though he prays, fasts, doesn't commit zina, but his personality doesn't match her personality. And that way, this is the Prophet said, "Fear my best," in that which is not oppression. So to keep a woman with a man that she is adverse to being with, also will be from oppressing a woman, because all of us deserve or have a right to choose to be happy with the person that we're with. No. So that's the harmonization between the two.
Question.
No.
The tutorial question comes from Allah.
Again?
You said
rhetorical.
the rhetorical or the tutorial?
No, rhetorical question.
Can you explain to that?
Okay, a rhetorical question is a question in which the answer is already there. The answer is it goes without saying.
Can you apply it? Can you tell me the words and bring it back?
Okay, Allah Ta'ala said about the mahar. وَكَيْفَ تَأْخُذُونَهُ وَقَدْ أَفْضَى بَعْضُكُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ. And how can you take the dowry back after you have been intimate with this woman? تَقْدِيرُهُ. وَلَمْ تَفْعَلْ شَيْءٍ. And she didn't, the hidden meaning is that you paid the dowry, you were intimate with her, and she didn't do anything wrong. How are you going to take the dowry back?
So the statement
Right.
of the question is the answer.
Yeah, like that. Like for instance, when somebody say, I'm not saying it to you, let's say for instance, let's say somebody comes in to the masjid with shorts on and no shirt, and we're about to pray, and they stand in the ranks. We say, "See, are you crazy?" We don't want him to answer that. Like, we just let him know. No, you are crazy for doing that. Like, you know, right? Exactly. So the act, we're not really asking him, is he crazy? We're asking him, we're letting him know that, oh, that's it. Right. So this statement in the Quran, this rhetorical question is like, who does that? Who marries a woman? Yeah. Who would do something like that? Exactly. Who, like the woman, here it is, she gave herself to you, you paid the dowry, took her from her family, and now you're going to divorce her for no reason. Okay, you can divorce her. But now you also trying to get the dowry back? What? Yeah. No. Ain't not. Likewise that. This is in a different way because Allah Ta'ala, the Prophet didn't know, and then Allah narrated it to him. So that's a different way. No.
But the Jews and the Christians.
Right, yeah. But this is to the Prophet no. Because the Prophet from the miracles of his prophecy is that he was able to narrate those stories to the Jews and Christians of Medina with the detail of those stories, and they couldn't deny it. And he was not learned in their books.
Part of their stories.
No, exactly. Yeah.
It was revealed to them.
Exactly. So that was the miracle about that point. Attack a hadith of Musa like that. Nah. Okay, we have something written here from somebody's online. Okay, let me see. Trying to read this question. So it says, the wife being good to her husband is no, we talked about that already. Allah made a way for her to get out of the situation, but I don't understand that. Okay. She returned. Nah, yeah, that's the point, sister. The point is that instead of her remaining and reciprocating the bad treatment of her husband, she should just leave and be a righteous Muslimah without that man. But for her to remain in order to return the bad treatment, the Prophet ﷺ said, "La darar wa la dirar." La darar wa la dirar. He said there should be no harm, nor reciprocating harm. No harm, no reciprocating harm. Meaning she shouldn't stay, oh, he cheated on me, he did this and that. You know what? I'm not going to get a khula. I'm going to stay and get revenge on him. No. She leaves. Because what's the benefit of her becoming a sinner just like him? What's the point? No. So, yeah, that's the point that we wanted to bring today. And alhamdulillah, we did get some fiqh benefits out of that. Now, we have another question.
Do you encourage the men in this times to get married more, even though they have the reason why I say they have a wife. I mean, you'll see a lot of accountable, responsible, productive men that literally needed to be himself.
Yeah.
But however, our society is decaying, is struggling, all this roots and mithaqul is being really distant, and the girlfriend, boyfriend, and all this easy in and out is more applicable than that.
Yeah.
Would you recommend?
Okay, the man, the brother asking me, will I recommend men saying practice polygyny, have more than one wife?
If you can.
If you can.
Because we need with all of it, what we see is best. If there is a good man with like a merit, mind and willing, why not the Chelsea? This is my view. I'm not the one who I'm exemplifying myself.
Right.
I'm far away to be having more, but that's what I'm saying.
And listen, every ayah in the Quran, صالحة إلى يوم القيامة. Every verse in the Quran is valid until the day of judgment. Polygyny, every single ayah in the Quran, right? And it's not like the munafiqin yawm yuhawwilun yaqulun, like the hypocrites of today, they try to say that, oh no, the verses that were revealed to Medina can only be practiced if the Prophet ﷺ is alive. And once the Prophet died, you can't practice those verses no more, right? No, we don't believe that. So every ayat in Quran, whether it was revealed in Mecca or in Medina, is still valid to today. And from those ayat, al-Madaniyah that was revealed in Medina, or the ayat of at-ta'addud, the ayats of polygyny. And any individual, marriage, whether it be in monogamy or polygyny, falls into the rulings of Sharia. Either it's going to be obligatory, highly recommended, permissible, disliked, or haram. It's going to fall in one of the two. So every man has to look at himself. What is it concerning himself? And the first and foremost reason that a man should get married is what? The brother said, complete half his deed. Huh? Huh? So you wouldn't cheat on his wife. This is the answer. Now, what were you about to say? Online?
Protect the child.
Nah, protect yourself from fitna.
Nah.
Zina.
Hey, nah. That's it. Chastity is the first and foremost reason, to the point that the ulama said that it's obligatory for a man to get married if he fears from zina, even if he can't afford it. Because even if he cannot afford it. Why? Because to be deficient in your duties as a husband is better than being a major sinner.
Absolutely. Deficient with that.
To be deficient in your duties as a husband, to be a husband that's late on the electric bill, that's late on the rent, is better than being a fornicator. And this is a qaida. This is a principle from the principles of fiqh. The ulama say what? في جلبها ودرء للمفاسد فإن تزحم عدد المصالح يقدم على من المصالح وضده تزحم المفاسد يرتكب لا من المفاسد. He said that our religion is brought up as built and based upon bringing about good, to increase it and to prevent evil. So if the types of good become numerous, then the highest of those goods is the one that should be put forward and be prioritized. Jazakallah khair. And the opposite of it is what? Choosing between more than one evil. Somebody's going to fall into evil. The person is to choose the lesser of the two evils. The lesser of the two evils. So now if a person says, SubhanAllah, the sister's ready to marry me, but her bills is this and that, I really can't afford that. I got about a quarter of that or half of that. Oh wow, but if I tell her she won't marry me. So he goes into the marriage with this deception. This is clear deception, because he needs to be able to afford her bill. So he goes into deception because he knows about himself that if he doesn't marry this sister, he's going to be a fornicator. He's going to commit zina. He's going to commit zina. However, there are 4 things that if we really implement them as men and women, because you know what the issue is? When we look at those ayat in Surah An-Nur about lowering the gaze, we always apply them to our young men and our men in general. See, lower your gaze, lower your gaze. But rare do we say it to the women, and Allah addressed both genders. This is across the board. So a man would send his son to school. Yeah, don't, be careful, son. Don't be looking at those girls. No, we need to say it to our daughters too. Lower your gaze. What are you looking around for? And like that, our women should have shyness in their neck. What does shyness mean in their neck? A woman walking down the street or sitting in a car should not be right, left, looking out the window unnecessarily. What did when the Prophet asked, what did our mother Fatima, radiallahu anha, what did she say when he asked what is the best thing for a woman? She said, for her not to see men or be seen by men. For her not to see men or be seen by men is the best thing for a woman. The Prophet said in the hadith in the Sunnah, لَيْسَ لِلنِّسَاء حَقٌّ فِي وَسَطِ الطَّرِيقِ أو كما قال. I like what the Prophet said. He said the woman have no right to the middle of the road. Our mother Aisha radiallahu anha explained this hadith. She said during the life of the Prophet, the women used to walk so close to the wall that their clothes would get snagged against the wall, in order not to crowd the men in the middle of the road. Huh? Yeah, we have a lot of returning to do. We have our customs, we have our practices in Islam that keeps the society pure, that keeps the society clean and wholesome and fast. And this is one of the greatest obligations of the women that the liberalists and the feminists don't tell the women. The women, their job, their responsibility is to keep the society chaste. Absolutely. Because if there can be no there can be no act of fornication or adultery if women say no. Whatever the women do, the men will do. If the women raise the bar and say, talk to my father, my uncle, my granddad, my son, if they raise the bar and they keep it that way, the men have no choice but to follow that. The men want the woman. And whatever the woman stipulates, so we see this, whatever the woman stipulates in order to get her, the man does it. I want a house. He gets the house. He wants her. I want you to be a basketball star. What? He becomes that. I want whatever the women like. Right? Men, and normally, they don't dress flashy and like that. When men dress flashy and drive fancy cars and like that, it's because they're trying to, that's the men.
Absolutely. Attractive.
They would, if their women were attracted with less than that, the men would do less than that. Whatever they want, that's what the men do.
Whatever the bar.
So if the women raise the bar to the bar of chastity, saying you have to talk to my wali, my wakil, you cannot be around me, you cannot do this except if you follow these rules, the men would do it, and the society would have chastity. And this is why the West and the liberalists and the feminists, when they want to attack any religion, not just Islam, Christianity, Judaism, any religion that teaches chastity, they go for the women first. They teach them that their chastity, their manners, their etiquettes are oppression, and they're not free, and they're not living life, and not fulfilling themselves, and they're not being treated as equals, and they're being treated as slaves. And they teach them that until the women feel that there's something they need to break out of, and then they break out, and then they find themselves just treated like merchandise, a product that's bought and sold or used without even getting the price. And it's amazing to me, and both, it's all filthy, but it's amazing to me how women that sleep around actually turn their nose up, the women that sleep around for this man and that man without marriage, turn their nose up at the women who do that for money, for prostitution. Both of it is filthy, but you're doing it for free. You know, Lisa, she has she's talking down at the prostitute. The prostitute has a price. She actually puts a value to herself. You're doing it without any value. It's kind of like you don't have moral value, nor do you have financial value. So which one is worse? La ilaha illallah. Nah. We'll stop here, inshallah ta'ala. And then inshallah tomorrow we have the explanation of Husn al-Muslim and like that, or something about the dowry. Well, let's be the last one about the dowry. No, there's no 10% of the dowry. It's the whole dowry or whatever the man stipulates. Nah. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.